what's up everybody? John Kirkpatrick here, going to talk about basic fills and beat context today. So this will be the first video outside of the series of the Guitar Pro tutorial. The first 4 videos I feel like give a good enough explanation for the buttons and how to use the program in an elementary way. Hopefully by now you've decided to invest in the program, as I will be showing basically everything I talk about pretty much through this program. Alright, here we go. So gonna go ahead and make a percussion track. Alright, cool. So when it comes to basic fills, one of the most basic fills rather, would just be eighth notes stemming from the snare to a high tom, to a lower tom, mid tom, and, high, mid, and low. Which would sound like, it's pretty much as basic of a fill as you can go. And if you can picture that on a drum kit, you're just looking at your snare drum, then up to the high tom, mid tom, and then floor tom. The nice thing about writing in this program is you don't really have to keep in mind of a drum set. You don't really have that limitation. You can write whatever you like. The only thing is you might want to check with your drummer, depending if you want to actually have the drums be live or not, whether what you're writing is actually even physically possible. As we could easily write, you know, a snare drum, a high tom, mid tom, another tom, and another tom, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different drums at the same time, which we only have 4 limbs, so unless, you know, somebody else is helping out, it's probably not going to be possible to do. Anyways, so there's 8th note fills like such. You can turn all these guys into 16th notes, copy and paste that pattern. Again, very, very elementary kind of fills. What makes fills more interesting is the rhythm and the dynamic that you put into it. And really it takes studying other drummers for a while to understand how the fills are best fit, which is going to lead into our next topic, which is beat context. So I have a Michelle Branch song here, Breathe, and I felt this was a really good demonstration for how the drums kind of change from part to part. So I actually believe whoever tabbed this out was done in French, but that's okay, we can kind of figure it out for ourselves. So here's our intro, and I'm just going to let it play all the way up actually until I believe this is probably chorus in French. I'll let it play through the first chorus and then I'll talk about what just happened. Alright, and there it is. So, as you can see, what we had here was kind of like our intro, straight into a verse, into the pre-chorus, all the way up through the chorus, and then back to the kind of intro, if you will, as it says post-refrain. So, I guess maybe post-chorus. It's kind of like that idea, but it's a transitionary period going from the chorus back to another verse. So, what we want to observe here is what's going on with the drums during all these parts. As we can see through the verse, it's all the same. It's just a variation of pretty much the basic beat. By the way, these are 35s and 38s. It's just a different version of a bass and snare drum. It's pretty much the same thing. But yeah, so when you listen to that, you know, it's, again, pretty much exactly the basic beat. The only thing that differs is adding that extra bass drum right there. But let's see what happens as we walk through the verse. So everything's pretty much staying the same. Occasionally we have an open hi-hat hit, on the end of 4, and that's just kind of to keep it driving. It also can be a signal for other things to come in, like how that guitar came in right after that hit. So it's almost like a pseudo transitionary thing to do, I guess, for drummers. And then, yeah, so we keep going, same deal. And then up to the pre-chorus. When we hit the pre-chorus, you'll notice there's another hi-hat hit before that. But the beat actually stays the same. Now, a lot of cases, the beat will change up here just a little bit. Usually there might be like a looser hi-hat. I don't believe there's a between close and open on this program, so maybe if there was, the person might put that in there. A lot of times what you got to be thinking about is music's all about building tension and going somewhere. So as a drummer, it's your job to figure out how you're going to stick along with that tension. How do you build it up yourself and contribute to the song? One of the most cliche ways, in my opinion, to do that, but you know, makes perfect sense, is when you start opening up the hi-hat. When you have a tight hi-hat, your notes are very staccato, very short. And as you start loosening up that hi-hat, you start getting a lot more of that frequency range of your hi-hat going. It kind of starts bringing this sloshiness into it. And you'll see what happens as we go through this. As soon as we hit the chorus, the hi-hat's completely open. Now, a lot of time you'll see ride instead of hi-hat. Pretty much anything that's going to sound more open. And what I mean by open is when you hit like a cymbal, it rings, it holds out. That's, as a drummer, that's our way of holding out notes, is by hitting cymbals, essentially. Nothing that we really do on the drums is going to be super ambient and huge, because our drums are more about the attack aspect rather than the sustain. So let's listen to this transition again real quick from the pre-chorus all the way up till the chorus. You'll notice this measure had that emptiness to it. It was almost like a suspension. It let it hold out for a second before jumping right into the chorus. It actually makes that first hit a lot more powerful. Let's see what happens if we were to take out just that measure. See how it felt kind of sudden? Almost like, I know it's going to sound lame to say it sounds like it was missing something, because obviously it was missing something, but the same kind of first initial hit isn't there. It just jumps into it, which a lot of songs do as well, especially coming from a pre-chorus. But it was a cool way to have that measure to hang on for just a sec, to really give that power to that first hit, really make that chorus stand out for the rest of the song. And that's the part that you remember, right? That's the part that gets played back over and over. So that's the part that you really want to be in your face as far as pop goes. You know, because you want that to be the most prominent part of your song. So let's see what happens after that. We go to the post refrain, which is back to that regular beat, and then back to the verse, which is going to be the same beat, and then pre-chorus, chorus. Okay, so this must be the bridge. So when we get to a bridge, in this case, I think it's the same beat. I don't know. So this is kind of that ambient section that just has some random cymbals and whatnot. So it's kind of a bridge. It's just a way of essentially getting back to the chorus. A lot of songs will do this, you know, to get that chorus in there as many times as they can, essentially. Usually 3 is the prime number for the amount of times that you want a chorus going through a song. Otherwise, it can get a little too repetitive. But yeah, so that's a good idea or demonstration of how drums change up, kind of along with a verse to pre-chorus to chorus. It's a very common way for drummers to do it, to go close hi-hat, slightly open, and then all the way open, or switch to the ride. There aren't very many fills in this song that are noticeable ones that I feel demonstrate a good transition, if you will. So in my next video, I'm going to go more into the metal world of things, and I'm going to start talking about the crazier beats and transitions and whatnot. But this was just to give you like a basic, you know, here's a straight cookie cutter song. This is how the drums are pretty much going to work for something like that. Now we'll start talking about the more advanced, crazier where we can start getting more complicated and having a little bit more fun stepping outside the very cookie cutter-esque way of writing a song. Alright, thanks guys for watching.